There's a white powder sitting in a paper sack in half the Amish barns here in Holmes County, Ohio. Costs about $10. It kills the bugs that are eating your garden alive. And it's so safe your grandkids could play in the dirt where you put it. No mask of fear, no keep-off signs staked in the tomatoes, no waiting 3 days before you can pick a single bean. The beetles drop, the aphids shrivel, the slugs stop coming. And the people selling you those bright bottles down at the big box garden center have no reason on earth to tell you about it. Stay with me. I'm going to show you exactly how to clear the bugs out of an entire garden for less than the price of a cup of coffee, and why the Amish have leaned on this for longer than anybody at that store has been alive. My name's Dale Yutzy. I farmed and did landscaping for 30-some years out here in Holmes County, the biggest Amish settlement in the whole country. My place backs right up against Amos Miller's farm. He's old order. Horse and buggy, no tractor, a windmill turning behind the barn, and for the longest time, I thought I was the smart one. Let me tell you how wrong I was. Every spring, I did it the way my father did it. Dad swore by the dust. That gray powder in the yellow bag, the kind you shake all over the potato plants till the leaves look like they got into a flower fight, he'd cough through a cloud of it, wave me back, tell me, "Don't breathe that, Dale." Then he'd send me to wash my hands twice before supper. I kept right on doing it as a grown man. I'd drive into town, drop $40, $50 on sprays and dusts and little hose end bottles that promise the moon. Some springs, I spent close to $200 trying to keep the cabbage worms and the squash bugs off my own food. And here's the part that still burns me. Half of it didn't even work. I'd spray on a Saturday. By Wednesday, the aphids were back thicker than before. The Japanese beetles chewed my green beans down to lace anyway. I'd read the back of the bottle, and there it was in tiny print. Keep children and pets off the treated area. Don't harvest for so many days. Wear gloves. Wash thoroughly. So I'm growing this beautiful garden to feed my family clean food. And I'm spraying it with something I'm scared to touch. You ever stop and feel how backwards that is? You plant a garden to get away from the mystery chemicals in the grocery store. Then you go and pour mystery chemicals all over it yourself, because a man in a commercial in a clean apron told you that's gardening. That's the part nobody says out loud. There is a whole industry built on you feeling helpless against bugs. Helpless and a little scared, because a scared man buys the bottle every single spring. He never asks if there's a cheaper way, because cheaper way means somebody loses a sale. Now here's the morning. Everything turned around for me. It was a June, 8 or 9 years back. Bad squash bug year. I was out there at 6 in the morning picking those flat gray devils off my zucchini by hand, dropping them in a coffee can of soapy water, just furious. And Amos comes walking along the fence line with his daughter, both of them calm as a Sunday. His squash, big, broad green, perfect. I asked him straight out, "Amos, what in the world are you spraying over there?" He kind of smiled and said, "Dale, we don't spray much of anything. We dust a little. Comes from the old quarry. Ruth keeps a bag in the pantry. And that bag is what I want to put in your hands today." If you want to go even deeper into everything Amos's community knows about keeping a garden clean and alive without poison, I wrote it all down. The Amish Garden Guide, the Amish Pest Blueprint, and the Complete Amish Garden Field Edition. 30 years of what I learned walking these fence lines, put into plain print so you can carry it right out to your rows. All three are available together for $120, and you'll find the link in the description. It's practical knowledge, not a sales pitch. Just what works, written down so it doesn't get lost again. Now let me get specific, because that's where most folks go wrong. It's called diatomaceous earth. Say it with me slow. Diatomaceous earth. The Amish around here just call it the bug dust or fossil dust. And once you understand what it actually is, you'll never look at a bottle of bug killer the same way again. Here's the simple truth of it. Millions of years ago, the lakes and oceans were full of tiny little plants called diatoms. Microscopic, smaller than you can see. Each one had a hard little shell made of silica, basically the same stuff as glass and sand. When they died, those shells drifted down and piled up into thick white beds, deep as a house, and over the ages they turned into a soft, chalky rock. We dig that rock up, we grind it into a fine white powder, and under a microscope, every speck of it is covered in sharp little edges, like ground glass, like a field of tiny knives. Now, to you and me, it just feels like soft flour. Run it through your fingers, it's smooth. Our skin is way too thick to even notice. But a bug is built completely different. A beetle, an ant, a slug, an aphid. They're all wrapped in a waxy, waterproof coat that holds the moisture inside their little bodies. That waxy layer is the only thing keeping them from drying out. When that bug crawls across the dust, those microscopic sharp edges scratch right through the wax. Tiny scratches, hundreds of them, and through every scratch, the moisture leaks out. The bug dries up from the inside. Like a slug on a hot sidewalk, no poison, no nerve agent, no chemistry your body has to deal with, just physics, just sharp meets soft. And here's why this matters more than anything those bottle companies will ever admit. Bugs can build up resistance to poisons. It's true. You spray the same chemical year after year, the strong ones survive, they breed, and pretty soon the spray barely works. Whole studies have been done on this. It's a treadmill. And you're paying for a ticket to ride it every spring, but you cannot build up resistance to a knife. A bug can't evolve a way to not get scratched. There's no immunity to drying out. So this dust works exactly as well today as it did when Amos's grandfather first carried a sack of it out to the garden. It never wears out its welcome. Now, let me get specific, because that's where most folks go wrong. You have to buy the right kind. Listen close. This is the most important thing I'll say all day. You want food-grade diatomaceous earth. It'll say food grade right on the bag. That's the kind that's so safe the government allows it to be mixed right into stored grain to keep the bugs out of the flour and the cornmeal, the very flour you'll eat. The FDA has it listed as generally recognized as safe. People take a spoonful in water, farmers add it to chicken feed. It's that gentle to us. There is another kind, and you must not use it. It's called pool grade or filter grade. That stuff has been cooked at high heat for swimming pool filters, and the cooking changes the silica into a form that is genuinely bad for your lungs. That's a hard line. Food grade for your garden, pool grade never. Get that one thing right and the rest is easy. A $10 bag will last most home gardens a couple of seasons. Here's how you put it down. You want the plants and the ground dry, morning dew burned off. No rain coming for a day or so. Take a little hand duster, or honestly an old Parmesan cheese shaker, or even a sock with the dust inside that you tap with your hand. You're not trying to bury the plant. You want a light coat, like the first dusting of snow on the grass. Just enough that the leaves look faintly powdered. Get the tops of the leaves. Get the undersides where the aphids hide. Make a ring of it around the base of each plant on the soil, a barrier the slugs and cutworms have to crawl across. Dust the stems. That's it. That's the whole secret the bottle aisle hopes you never learn. Now I promised you honesty, and my Ruth would smack me if I sold you a miracle. So let me tell you plainly what this dust does not do. It does not work wet. The minute it gets soaked, a heavy rain, your sprinkler, a thick dew, those sharp edges fill with water, and it stops cutting. It goes to sleep. So after every real rain, you go back out and dust again. That's the trade. It's cheap, it's safe, but it's not one and done. You have to keep at it. The Amish don't mind that because they're already out walking the rows every morning anyway. It's just part of the chores. It also is not instant. A poison knocks a bug down in minutes so you feel like a hero. This takes a day, sometimes two, for the bug to dry out. You're trading speed for safety. To me, that's the easiest trade in the world, but I want you to know it going in. And here's the big one. The dust does not pick favorites. It'll dry out a honeybee just as quick as a squash bug. It'll hurt the ladybugs and the little pollinators you actually want, so you never ever dust the flowers and the blossoms where the bees are working. Keep it on the leaves and the stems and the soil, and put it down in the evening when the bees have gone home. By morning it's settled and the bees can do their job up top while the dust guards down below. Be a good steward of the good bugs. That matters. And I'll tell you straight, there are jobs this dust just won't finish. If you've got a lawn chewed up underneath by grubs, or a real infestation gone out of control, or termites in the house timbers, that's a different animal. A real professional treatment can run you $200 to $600, and sometimes that money is real and necessary. Sometimes you need the man with the license and the equipment. I'd never tell you to risk your home to save a few dollars. But here's what makes me angry, and it should make you angry too. They've got you reaching for the expensive, scary option for every little thing. A few aphids on the roses, they've trained you to grab a chemical built for a disaster. The truth is, the great majority of what eats your home garden, the beetles, the ants, the earwigs, the the slugs, the squash bugs, the aphids, all of that gives up to a $10 bag of ground up rock and a little patience. The expensive stuff is for the rare emergency. They just sell it to you like every Tuesday is an emergency. Now let me talk to the folks thinking this isn't for them. Maybe you tell yourself, Dale, I don't have a big country garden like you. I've got 4 pots on a balcony. Friend, this is even better for you. Dust those pots, wring the soil, done. No spray drifting onto the neighbor's railing, perfectly safe over a patio where the dog lays. Maybe you've got an old established garden, decades of the same beds, and you figure your bug problems are too set in to fix. I hear you. But this dust doesn't care how old your garden is. It's not about the soil or the history. It's about that one barrier the bug has to cross. New raised bed or 50-year-old plot, the beetle still has to walk across the knives. Maybe you've already poured money into the sprays this year and you feel foolish starting over. Don't. Start this weekend with what 1 bag costs. You don't need special equipment. You don't need to dig anything up. A $10 sack, a dry morning, and an old shaker from the kitchen. That's the whole list. And if you want one more thing that costs near nothing, here's what Ruth does for the soft-bodied bugs, the clouds of aphids on the new growth. A little plain soap and water in a spray bottle, not the fancy antibacterial kind with all the additives, just a plain mild soap, a teaspoon or so and a quart of water. You spray it right on the aphids in the cool of the evening. The soap breaks down that same waxy coat and the soft bugs can't hold their water. Then once the leaf dries, you dust. One handles the crowd, the other guards the ground. Together they do the work of every bottle on that shelf. It's so simple, it almost makes you mad, doesn't it? Because somewhere along the way, somebody decided that simple wasn't worth selling. You can't put a fancy label and a $9 markup on a sack of ground rock and a bar of soap. There's no commercial in it, no man in a clean apron. So they let that knowledge get quiet. They let it drift back into the Amish barns and the old farm pantries while the rest of us drove to town every spring and paid. I think about my father coughing through that yellow dust, washing his hands twice, telling me to stand back. He was a good man doing the best he knew. But he was sold a problem so somebody could keep selling him the answer. He never once heard the word diatomaceous earth in his whole life. It was right there in the ground the whole time. Cheap, safe, patient, older than the company that sold him the bottle. That's what gets me. This isn't some new invention. It's recovered. It's old knowledge that got buried under marketing, kept alive by people like Amish who never stopped using it because it never stopped working, and now it's yours. So here's all I'll ask of you. Go get 1 bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth this weekend. Food grade, remember, never pool grade. Wait for a dry morning. Dust your leaves light. Wring your soil. Keep it off the open blossoms. And dust again after the rain. Spray a little mild soapy water on the aphids in the evening. Walk your rows in the morning the way the Amish do, just a few minutes, just looking. That's it. That's the whole thing. No fear. No mask of dread over your own food. No more handing $200 a year to people who need you to feel helpless. If you've ever felt foolish standing in that garden aisle, holding a bottle you couldn't pronounce, wondering if it even works, this is me telling you it was never your fault. You're not a careless gardener. You're a careful person who got sold a complicated answer to a simple problem. You were never the helpless one. You were just kept in the dark. Now, do me one favor, because I'm curious and so is everybody watching. Tell me down in the comments what state or what growing zone you're in and which bug is your worst enemy this year. Squash bugs, Japanese beetles, aphids, slugs. Tell me. Say where you're gardening from. I read them, and folks help each other out down there, and it tells me which bug to make my next video about. If this gave you back something you didn't know you'd lost, come walk the rows with us. Subscribe and stand with the folks who are done overpaying for what a sack of old rock and a little patience already does. We're not building a channel here. We're digging up the practical know-how that got quietly taken from us, one cheap trick at a time, and handing it back around. Next time, I'm going to show you the jar of something Ruth keeps on the windowsill that stops cutworms from ever cutting down a single seedling, and it's something you'd normally throw straight in the trash. You've got the bug dust now. The store can keep the bottle. I'll see you in the next one.